Let's talk about the Christians that are being persecuted in Nigeria. Hi, my name is Alan. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, my channel is dedicated to me talking about my faith and how my faith helps to inform a lot of the public policies that I like to advocate for in hopes of making this a better world. So about 2 weeks ago, I was attending church, and after the sermon, I was walking towards the fellowship hall for potluck, and I was speaking to a woman from Nigeria, and she was telling me that, oh, right now, a lot of Christians are being killed and persecuted in Nigeria. Now, that was the first time that I heard about it, and so I didn't know what to make of it. I hadn't heard it on the news, and I know a little bit about Nigeria in that it's one of the more developed countries in Africa. Its people are very highly educated. They tend to be one of the more successful minority groups here in the United States. And so I knew a little bit about Nigeria, but I hadn't, the persecution wasn't on my radar until this weekend when Donald Trump posted his post about wanting to send our military to rescue the Christians. And so I looked into the news a little bit, and I was able to see that this is a very real concern, that a lot of Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria at the hands of Islamic extremists. And I'm not one of these Trump supporters that blindly follow everything that he says and does. I disagree with him, namely on SNAP benefits, for example. But I am one of those supporters that believe that he was saved from assassination because he was meant to be our president once again, and that he was called with a purpose. And there's no doubt that he's been a huge blessing to the Christian community. And now here he is once again coming to the rescue of fellow Christians overseas. And I support our military getting involved in a cause like this, because we have sent our military throughout the world for missions that are real suspect. We're saying that we're spreading democracy, but are we really just going after their oil and their resources? In this case, we can say that our military is actually doing something that's very righteous and just. And the Bible talks a whole lot about justice and coming to the rescue of those who are being persecuted and oppressed. What comes to mind is the text, Psalms 103, verse 6, that says, "The Lord works righteousness and justice for all those who are oppressed." And then a story that comes to mind in the Bible is that of Sodom and Gomorrah. You may recall the story of how God sent the angels into that city in order to rescue Job and his family from the evil that was about to happen to them. And, I'm not saying that Nigeria is evil, but from what I've seen, there does seem to be some complicity between some of the government officials and the leadership of these extremist Islamic groups. And so that is definitely evil. And I believe that it is just for us to send our military and come to the rescue of our fellow Christians who are being persecuted and killed at the hands of these evil doers. Now, I've seen people talk about how Nigeria is a sovereign nation and that we would be invading a sovereign nation and that would be a violation of the UN Charter. But what is sovereignty? Sovereignty to me is a concept that's only worth what a superior power is willing to honor. And in this case, I believe Nigeria has lost all credibility. And in that case, we have every right to come to the rescue of our people, our fellow Christians. So that's what I just wanted to say on the issue. Feel free to leave a comment letting me know if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. Personally, I'm just relieved that we're living in a time where someone's in power in the greatest country, the most powerful country in the world, in the history of the world, that's willing to use that power to protect and rescue fellow Christians around the world who are being persecuted, because it's been going on for a very long time. And so for that, I'm grateful. But thank you for watching, and God bless.